Hey, what's up there, do-it-yourselfers? Today I'm going to do a quick video and show you how you can test and diagnose problems with your PCV system and also how the PCV system on your car works. Alright, so PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation, and its job is to relieve the pressure that builds up in your crankcase as a result of blow-by. So as your piston moves up the cylinder wall towards its compression stroke while compressing the air-fuel mixture, and also during combustion, some of that stuff is just going to sneak past your cylinder, your piston rings. No matter how well, how well maintained they are or how new they are, it's just going to happen. You're always going to have some blow-by, which is the air-fuel mixture sneaking past your piston rings. And that stuff is going to end up in your crankcase, and it's going to build up pressure. And the PCV system's job is to relieve that pressure, because otherwise, if you don't relieve that pressure, this stuff can do potentially a lot of damage to your engine. It could cause oil contamination. It could blow your crank seals, your camshaft seals, your oil pan gaskets, because it's just going to have to find a way out. And if you have a PCV valve that's stuck closed, for example, it's going to cause those leaks. It's going to contaminate the oil, and maybe even engine sludge could happen, which could really damage your engine if you let it go untreated. And also, a lot of times when you find a PCV valve that's stuck closed, the pressure escapes through your oil dipstick tube, and that's usually a telltale sign that you have a PCV valve that's stuck closed, because generally speaking, the oil dipstick tube is probably the easiest way for the pressure that builds up here to escape. I wasn't able to do a good job of demonstrating this, but the pressure buildup that happens in your crankcase can travel to your cylinder heads, which are these two here, through the same oil holes that are there from your cylinder head to your crankcase, to have the oil that gets pumped up here to your camshafts to be poured back into your crankcase to be recycled again. And when that reaches your cylinder head, and once the throttle plate opens, it causes a vacuum in this line here that goes to your PCV valve, and then the build-up pressure from your crankcase gets to travel here back to your throttle body, back to your intake, and gets to be recycled again. Because again, remember, this is unburnt fuel and air mixture, and it can be ran through the engine again without much problem. And with every PCV system, you're always going to have a breather tube. Breather tube is there to supply filtered fresh air into your crankcase. Because if you don't supply fresh air in there, your PCV valve is going to cause a vacuum here, and also is going to suck up oil through the PCV valve and this tube here and recycle that and burn too much oil, and you don't really want to be doing it. And breather tube, you can, on this graph I show that it's attached to this tube that goes from your air filter box to your throttle body, but a lot of times it's connected to your air filter box directly, and sometimes, and on the car that I'm about to show you, it's connected to your throttle body, but before the throttle plate. Alright, now let's get on to how this stuff looks on a car and how you can test your PCV valve. And I know I did, when I did the drawing, it was for a V-shaped engine, but we're going to be doing this on a 4-cylinder engine. It works the same way. You're going to have a PCV valve, this guy right here. You're going to have a vacuum hose that goes from your PCV valve to your intake manifold, which is here. And then you're going to have a breather tube that supplies fresh air. And now on this car, this breather tube is connected to your throttle body back here, but it is before your throttle plate, which is this guy right here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do if you're suspecting a problem with your PCV system is to visually inspect both this vacuum line and this breather tube. You want to make sure they're in good order, they're not brittle, they're not cracked. If you have to, get a mirror, check underneath these, or pull them off your valve cover even, and check them thoroughly, make sure they're in good shape. So what you want to do next is to remove your PCV valve and inspect it further. And a lot of times these PCV valves are screwed into your valve cover, so sometimes you're going to need a wrench to take them out. This one, I don't know yet, but I don't think it's screwed in there. I think it's just got a rubber grommet on the bottom, and it's just forced into your valve cover. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Yeah, some oil buildup or some oil residue is normal.
since, you know, no matter what you do, oil is gonna get up through your PCV valve to your intake. So now, next, we are going to get this PCV valve off. You know what? This might break during removal, but it's okay, because they're only $5 and it's time to replace it anyway. There we go. Alright guys, and here it is. There's the actual look at of the PCV valve itself. That's the valve that's in there. That's the valve that moves up when there's vacuum here and allows crankcase pressure to be passed through this valve back to your intake. And the way people test these is basically to just shake it, and if the valve is moving around freely, then it's a good PCV valve. But in order to be 100% sure, we're going to reattach this to our intake, and then we're going to start the car, and then we're going to come back here. We're going to open the throttle and then check for vacuum here. Alright, as you can see, this valve, there's vacuum here, and this valve, you can actually hear it. Yeah, you can actually hear it open and close, so this is a good valve here. This is, if you were testing this PCV valve, we would call this a good valve. And there you have it, folks. We didn't even have to play with the throttle plate to see whether that PCV valve was working or not. And that's really all there is to testing a PCV valve. And with that said, I hope this video helps people out there. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more like it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.